My sister Lauren sent me a payment request for $2,000 with the note, "You're part of Mom and Dad's gift." I had already sent her $500 because that was the amount the three of us agreed on. I checked our group chat, confirmed the transfer, and declined the request. Her phone call came less than a minute later. "Why did you decline it?" "Because I already paid my part." "I know, this is the rest." "The rest of what?" Lauren paused. "The bikes." Mom and Dad's 35th anniversary was that weekend. The three of us had agreed to get them electric bikes after they rented a pair on vacation and came home talking about how much fun they had. Lauren had suggested $500 each. Nate agreed. I agreed. I sent my $500 that afternoon. Lauren volunteered to handle the purchase. That was the entire arrangement. So I said, "What happened with the bikes?" Lauren answered, "I found the ones Dad actually wanted. The cheaper models weren't good enough." "How much were they?" She hesitated. That told me more than the answer probably would have. "Lauren, what did you spend?" She gave me the total. Our $1,500 was nowhere close to covering it. I said, "You never told us the price changed." "I sent you the picture." 2 days earlier, she had dropped a photo into our sibling group chat. 2 sleek electric bikes parked side by side. Her message had said, "These are perfect." I had reacted with a thumbs up. There had been no price in the message, no link, no revised budget. No question asking whether Nate and I were willing to contribute more. I said, "Liking a picture isn't agreeing to spend another $2,000. Lauren sighed. "You knew I was shopping for bikes. I knew you were shopping with the money we agreed on." They were on sale, and I had to order them before they sold out. "Did you order them already?" "Yes." "Whose card?" "Mine." That simplified one part of the problem. I had not been charged. Lauren had made the purchase herself, and now she was trying to redistribute the cost after the fact. I asked, "Did Nate agree to pay more?" "No, because Nate can't." "Did you ask him?" "I know his situation." "And did you ask me?" Another pause. Then Lauren said, "You make more than both of us." There it was, not a mistake with the math, not a misunderstanding about the budget, a decision she had made about my money. She continued, "Nate can't reasonably add anything. I already put in what I can. You're the only person for whom the difference isn't a serious problem. So you decided I was paying it. I assumed you would take the rest." I looked at the payment request still sitting on my screen. $2,000. Not because I had chosen a more expensive gift, not because we had discussed increasing the budget, because Lauren had already bought what she wanted and calculated backward from what she thought I could afford. I said, "Then your assumption was wrong." She went quiet. I continued, "I agreed to $500. I paid $500. I'm not sending another $2,000. "You're serious?" "Yes, the bikes are already ordered." "I understand. So what am I supposed to do?" That was the first moment the real consequence became visible. Lauren had already committed to the premium purchase. I was not reimbursing the overage, which meant the extra cost was still sitting exactly where she had put it, on her card. I told her, "You can keep the order and pay the difference, or you can see whether you can return or cancel it and buy something within the budget. You're making this my problem. You made the purchase." She hung up. And once the call ended, I understood why Lauren had been so confident I would eventually pay. I make more money than either of my siblings. I have a good job, I live below my means, and I do not have children yet, so I have more flexibility than they do. And over the years, I had sometimes chosen to use that flexibility. If a family dinner ran a little higher than expected, I might quietly cover the difference, instead of making everyone recalculate $20 or $30. I thought those were choices I was making. Lauren had started treating them like a pricing system. If an expense exceeded everyone else's comfort level, she apparently believed the excess naturally moved into my column. The difference was that until now, nobody had ever spent $2,000 on that assumption. A few minutes later, my phone buzzed. Lauren had moved the argument into the sibling group chat. She wrote, "Just so everyone knows, the nicer bikes cost more than expected and apparently we're not all willing to adjust." Nate responded almost immediately, "Wait, I thought $500 each was the budget." Lauren wrote, "It was the starting budget." I stared at that sentence. There had never been a starting budget, There had been a budget. I typed, "We agreed on 500 each. I already sent mine. I'm not covering purchases made above that without discussing them first." Nate replied, "Yeah, 500 is what I agreed to too." Lauren called me again. I let it ring once before answering. "Did you really need to put that in the group chat?" she asked. "You brought it into the group chat. You're making me look irresponsible." I did not answer that, because the issue was not how the messages made her look. The issue was what they showed. Lauren changed tactics. She reminded me that Mom and Dad had helped all three of us plenty of times. She said 35 years was a major anniversary. She said Dad would actually use the better bike, and that buying a cheaper one would probably mean replacing it sooner. Some of that might even have been true. None of it changed who had agreed to spend what. Then she said, "You spend more than this on trips." I said, "Trips I choose. So this is about teaching me a lesson. No, if you want to buy those bikes, buy them. I'm saying I did not agree to pay for them. We already told Mom and Dad we went big this year." "What exactly did you tell them?" "That we had something really nice coming. Then get them something really nice that fits the money we actually have. You want me to return them? I want you to decide what to do with the purchase you made." Lauren gave a short laugh. That is such a convenient way to say it. It did not feel convenient. I hated this kind of conflict, especially with my sister, and especially 3 days before our parents' anniversary. After we hung up, I sat at my kitchen table looking at the declined request. I could afford the $2,000. That was the part that made the decision uncomfortable. It would not have threatened my rent. It would not have emptied my savings. I would have been annoyed, but financially I would have recovered, and our parents would have received the nicer bikes. For maybe 10 minutes, I seriously considered sending the money anyway, not because Lauren was right, because paying would make the problem disappear. Then Nate called. He sounded uncomfortable. "Should I try to send her more?" he asked. "Not $2,000, obviously, but maybe something." "No, I just don't want this turning into a whole thing before Sunday." "Neither do I, but you paying more after the purchase doesn't fix what happened." He was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "For what it's worth, she definitely told me 500. I know, no, I mean before she ordered the expensive ones. That got my attention." "What do you mean?" Nate said Lauren had mentioned finding a better model earlier that week. He had asked whether it still worked with the budget. Lauren apparently told him not to worry about it. According to Nate, she had said something close to, "If it runs over, she'll probably cover it." "She always does." I asked, "Did she tell you I agreed?" "No, she just acted like it wasn't a problem." That changed something for me. Until then, part of me had wondered whether Lauren had gotten excited, clicked order too quickly, and only afterward realized how far beyond the budget she had gone. But she had been planning around me before she bought them, not because I had promised anything. Because she had decided my history of helping made asking unnecessary. I thanked Nate and told him not to send anything else. Then I texted Lauren one final message. "I'm not changing my contribution. Whatever you do with the premium order is up to you, but my total contribution is $500. She did not answer that night. The next morning she texted me, "Store says I can cancel before they ship." I replied, "Okay." 5 minutes later. "There may be a small processing charge." I said, "That's your call." She answered, "Unbelievable." I left it there. By Friday afternoon, another message arrived. "I canceled the premium ones." Then, "Hope you're happy." I wasn't. Mostly I felt tired. I wrote back, "I'm sorry this became a fight, but staying within what we agreed was the right decision." No response. Later that evening, Nate sent me a link. Lauren had found another pair of electric bikes. They were simpler models. Smaller batteries, fewer features, nothing that looked like it belonged in a glossy lifestyle ad. But they had solid reviews, and together they fit the $1,500 the three of us had actually contributed. Lauren had even managed to include 2 basic helmets without asking anyone for more money. Nate wrote, "These seem fine." I checked the page. They seem more than fine. The next message came from Lauren. "Ordering these, everyone okay with that?" It was probably meant to sound irritated. Still, I noticed the difference. She was asking before she clicked. Nate wrote yes. I wrote yes, then she placed the order. On Sunday, we went to Mom and Dad's house for their anniversary dinner. Lauren barely spoke to me while we were setting the table. I did not bring up the money. Neither did Nate. Our parents knew none of it. After dinner, we brought them outside. Dad stopped on the patio when he saw the bikes. For a few seconds, he just stared at them. Then he said, "You guys did not need to do this." Mom started laughing. "Seriously, this is too much." Dad walked around one bike, squeezed one of the brake levers, and asked how fast it went. Mom told him speed was the first thing he was absolutely not allowed to care about. Lauren said, "They're from all three of us." I looked at her. She did not look back, but despite everything, the sentence was true. They were from all three of us. All three of us had paid exactly what we had agreed to pay. Dad wanted to try his immediately. Mom told him he was not riding an electric bike in dress shoes after 2 glasses of wine. Within 5 minutes, they were discussing helmets, bike trails, and whether they could fit both bikes in the garage without moving Dad's workbench. They loved them. They did not ask what the premium version would have looked like. They did not know there had been one, and that probably should have been the end of it. After dinner, Lauren followed me outside while I was walking to my car. She stopped a few feet behind me. "Do you feel good about what you did?" I turned around. "What exactly do you think I did? You made me cancel Mom and Dad's anniversary gift because you wanted to prove a point. No, you canceled a purchase because it was more than the budget. You could have covered it." Yes, that answer surprised her. I was not going to pretend I did not have the money. I did. That had never been the issue. Lauren said, "Then why wouldn't you?" "Because you spent it before you asked me." "There are parents." "I know, you make more than Nate and me. I know that too, so you don't think you should contribute more?" "I might." She blinked. I continued, "If you ask me before buying something." She folded her arms. "So now I need permission. To spend my money?" "Yes." Her face tightened. I immediately regretted how sharp that sounded, even though I meant it, so I tried again. "You don't need my permission to buy anything. You can spend whatever you want. But if you want me to pay part of it, I need to agree before you commit me." Lauren shook her head. "You're being incredibly rigid about this." Maybe I was. But standing there, I finally understood why the whole thing had bothered me more than the amount itself. Lauren believed my ability to pay gave her some authority to decide that I would. Those were not the same thing. I said, "If you want to spend your money on something bigger, you can. You just don't get to spend mine first and ask afterward." She did not apologize. I did not expect her to. She said I had embarrassed her, then went back inside. Things between us were colder for a while after that. Not dramatic. We did not stop speaking. Nobody chose sides. We still saw each other at birthdays and family dinners. But I stopped being the automatic financial cushion for plans I had not agreed to. And when shared expenses came up, I became much more specific. What is the total? What is my share? Has everybody agreed before someone buys it? Lauren thought that was excessive at first. A few months later, she organized another shared gift for Mom. This time, the first message in our group chat included a link, the full price, and exactly what each person's share would be. Then she wrote, "I'm not ordering until everyone confirms." Nate confirmed. I confirmed. Only then did she buy it. Lauren still thinks I could have handled that $2,000 shortfall. She is right. I could have. I just stopped believing that being able to pay meant somebody else got to decide that I would. And now, when Lauren says something is from all of us, she waits until all of us have actually said yes.